Hello, and thank you for listening into the 2026 BSA changes. In addition to discussing what is changing next year in terms of high-level content updates and framework updates, we have also announced recently the name change. So our brand standards audit naming will be replaced with the Marriott International Health Check. You'll hear us refer to it as the My Health Check as well. So we're excited to discuss what all comes with that change, as well as the content updates for 2026. We'll first get into a few terminology updates. With the BSA, we've used words like audit, auditor, we have the QA website, encouraging practice audit completion, and of course we have BSA property pre-work. And now with our transition to the My Health Check, we have a few other options to consider as we use the words that we've used in the past. Audit will now become assessment, as we want to reflect more of a broader, holistic view of property performance, shifting away from the focus of just an inspection and checklist to more improvement and collaboration. Auditor, it now becomes advisor. We really want to focus on emphasizing guidance towards performance tools and resources than again simply checking boxes and delivering a report. The QA website will now be referred to as the My Health Portal. So it's the same centralized hub for resources and results that it was in the past, just with a new name and makeover. And the practice audit will now be referred to as the self-assessment. So we're, as always, encouraging proactive ownership and an internal performance review that you're able to do at any time for free, assigning out to different individuals. All of that remains the same. The technology system is the same, just going through a different name. And then finally, BSA property pre-work becomes the My Health pre-check. So streamlining preparation and self-attestation processes that we'll be talking a little bit further in the slides ahead. Now let's turn our attention to a few key changes for 2026 that we will go into further detail in the next few slides. I'll highlight a few of these here. The first one is a return to in-person. So all virtual assessments will be retired in 2026. We'll be returning to in-person assessments at all properties throughout the portfolio, and we're looking forward to some consistent and just deeper engagement with all properties moving forward, and also excited to interact with some high-performing hotels that have traditionally had virtuals for the past couple years, hoping to gain some leading practices from those properties and then share that widely with the rest of the portfolio. In the spirit of simplifying, we've also simplified the framework and structure of the My Health Check a little bit. Categories and subcategories have gone through a naming change as well, and you'll see that in a future slide what those specifically are, but the goal here was to streamline performance insights, and so the reporting will show things a little bit differently with how category and subcategory scores are, and then probably allowing properties to see where they're doing well, and then also some areas of opportunities a little bit more clearly. We've also removed some lower impacting questions, so the assessment form is going to be a little bit shorter, with a couple questions and some touch points removed based on certain priorities, and wanted to make sure there's enough time in the day to focus on more of this health metric transition that we're planning on taking and really incorporating some more helpful advice and guidance on performance tools and resources that exist to help boost performance in different areas. And then finally, the enhanced evaluation methodology. So we've had a straight average score, and we're going to be continuing that straight average score in 2026, but we're adding some bonus point incentives as well. So instead of mostly deducting points, we have mixed in a few opportunities where properties can earn bonus points. And so we have a learning completion example that we'll cover in more detail in a few moments. And that's one example of how we're working in more of an incentive than a penalty necessarily to hopefully improve performance in certain areas. We're also applying a attestation component with our formerly called BSA property pre-work, now the My Health pre-check. You may remember, if you have been around since before COVID, a process called property certification. This is going to be similar to where you'll still upload certain documents and attest that you're completing those various items in a compliant fashion. and the advisor will be reviewing those and making sure that all of those items are accurately represented, and then the score will follow as well. So very similar to what everybody's been doing with property pre-work in the past, just a little bit of a different spin to self-attesting and how we score those. We also have a few examples of where we're going to be shifting from more punitive evaluation to more showcasing excellence and providing those best and leading practices. And so we've taken a few moments of friction during the traditional BSA and turning that more into less of an evaluation and more into some helpful guidance again, and demonstrating best practices as opposed to necessarily just talking about them. So I've already mentioned that virtual BSAs have been retired for 2026. Just wanted to showcase some other changes that we have across different brands for duration and format of the inspection. So Fairfield and Town Place will be adopting a half-day assessment moving forward, and that will still measure the same things, just in a shorter time frame. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like coming up soon. Also, luxury is going to be part of the luxury assessment framework consistently across all brands and regions. So from either a one-night BSA or a 2 to 3 night BSA, depending on brand, to a half-day accountable health check assessment, plus a 2-night LQA service experiential assessment. So all luxury brands will be the same globally. And then Protea as well has historically had a virtual BSA the past few years. They will also now be in person with a half-day assessment. All other brands that aren't on the screen are remaining the same. Midscale has a half-day assessment already, and then other select and premium brands will still continue with a one-night overnight stay evaluation. As we transition to the My Health Check, we are taking some steps to improve how information is provided to both properties and also advisors who are there to assess the property. This is a sample of a dashboard that will be on M- once all regions are in place on the system. And this really is taking information that's already in M- in different places, and if it's relevant to the health check, it's going to be bringing everything into one screen. So you'll be able to pull this up before you do your self-assessment and see where you're at on certain metrics, evaluate yourself accordingly, and also for the advisor, before they announce at the property, they'll be able to review this dashboard and see how the property is doing in a variety of metrics. Not all may be shown on the screen in the sample. There certainly may be more. But most importantly here, are all the resources that it takes to hopefully achieve high performance in these metrics will be linked directly on this screen. So one-stop shop to find how you're doing as it relates to the My Health Check evaluation. I mentioned earlier our effort to simplify focus, and this is a snapshot of how we're getting to more of a streamlined framework for our My Health Check. On the left is our categories and subcategories. A lot of that is similar to what it has been in the past. We have property operations, where everything the property is responsible for from an operation standpoint. We've moved service, cleanliness, and maintenance and upkeep as its own categories to subcategories under property operations. Safety and security remains there as well. That is still not scored. That's still a 0-point line item where you have to self-report within 28 days if anything was missed. So that remains unchanged. Brand protection, those subcategories are the same as they have been in the past. We have brand identity, which is anything in brand voice or brand graphics. Brand programs from the Westin Heavenly Bed to other F&B programs such as Evening is at Renaissance. Anything will fall under brand program that's unique to the brand. And then brand culture is anything how the associate brings the culture to life. So that could be uniforms, it could be things on the heart of house or back of house that fall under that culture subcategory. And then F&B product, of course, self-explanatory. Anything from an F&B menu requirement standpoint would fall there. The newer one here is asset protection. So anything technology infrastructure that was originally under MI initiatives in the past is now going to be its own under asset protection. So that could be having mobile key installed, guest room entertainment platform. All of that falls under asset protection. And then facilities for this year, we've incorporated anything that's a CapEx situation. So for this year, there's just one question there, and that's related to the parking garage or parking lot. If the property is operating that and owns that, any capital expenditures and fixing some significant repairs, that evaluation would fall under there instead of maintenance and upkeep as it has in the past. The biggest change here is the point values. So in the past, we've had point values of 2, 4, 8, and 16 points. These have now been streamlined to 5, 3, and 1. And so everything on the assessment still remains very important. So you may see a 1-point value item that actually has as much weight as it did in the past with a 2-point item, and perhaps as much as a 4-point item in the past as well, with the number of points possible that we have across brands. So anything that's 5 points, most of the 16-point items from the past may have remained 5 points, and those are going to be any global brand proof points and also any major company initiatives that exist, as well as guest room cleanliness and maintenance and upkeep. Those are 5 points as the highest point value options. And then, as I mentioned, points possible have been reduced as a result of this change by about 75%. So there was an average of about 1,600 points for an average one-night stay brand in the past, and that is now between 350, 450, depending on the brand, points possible. So significantly less points, and that again is contributing hopefully to a more simplified framework and easier understanding of where performance is going well and where it may need some work. We have here just some examples of questions that have been consolidated. So there's been questions that have been removed, and there's also been questions that have been consolidated. So you'll see all of the specific changes coming to your brand and region coming in the form of our content change summaries that will be finalized on December 4th. But you'll start to see some changes in there between November and early December on that change summary as we start making changes. So if you see an effective date of January 1st, 2026, you know that that's a change that's applying for next wave. The first example here of consolidation is bath amenities. So we've had 3 separate questions that have totaled about 66 points for each brand, as it's 22 points times the 3 rooms that we're evaluating. Those 3 questions within the shower, bathtub, vanity sink, and also the sequence of the shower amenities, those 3 points have now been those 3 questions have now been moved to 1 question valued at 3 points. So all of that criteria is the same. It's now just going to be in 1 question. So the right products need to be in place, the right brackets need to be in place, the shower amenities need to be from left to right in the correct order, and then also for luxury, the refill and inventory program would need to be followed in order for the 3 points to be achieved. Service is another area where we've consolidated a few questions. We've had first impression behaviors, warm closing behaviors, and then also guest name usage consistent in every service touch point. That's being changed slightly to move all service behaviors into 1 question. So that's first impression, that could be 15.5, good posture, well-groomed and professional, as well as combining in there the demonstrating of appreciation and the warm closing. So moving forward with 2026, either the demonstrating of appreciation or a warm closing will earn the points for that question. Currently it's both. We're looking for either one of those to be included. So that could be have a good evening, and that would be compliant. Thank you for staying would also earn compliance as well. Guest name usage is something that's going to vary by brand. So for select service, as long as the guest name is used in conversation at least once during the stay, that question will earn 3 points. For premium hotels, it's going to be twice during the stay. So ideally for everybody during the arrival, the guest name is used at check-in, and then for premium, another time. So that could be during a food and beverage interaction, or as the guest is maybe interacting with another associate in the property. For both select and premium, as the advisor is walking through the front desk area and the associate uses the name even in passing, even if it's not an evaluated experience, you'll still get the credit for using the guest name with the advisor in those situations. And then how we measure public area cleanliness and maintenance and upkeep will be changing to, again, simplify the focus. So exterior cleanliness is a good example where we have 3 cleanliness questions for the exterior. And that's scored based on severity, level 1, level 2, major and minor issues. It's now going to be very specific to the detractor. So exterior free of debris will be a yes or no question instead of mixed in with general questions within those other touch points. So a little bit simpler of an evaluation there. And again, making the reporting more focused. And then styling and staging in some way is across most brands. It may not be referred that way, but this is focusing on a clutter-free environment in the public area. And so across all brands, these consistent items of managing cables and cords properly, not storing any heart of house or back of house items within guest view, and then in general, areas are free of clutter. This will now be 1 question worth 3 points. as opposed to multiple questions across multiple touch points in a property. So this will be streamlined now across all brands. For the brands that are remaining as one night stay, that's going to remain mostly the same. The timeline is really unchanged. It'll be a one night stay with arrival, checking evening and morning food and beverage, guest room walkthrough with 2 additional rooms in addition to the advisor's room. The half day one is going to be different for a lot of brands, as seen on the screen here. So I wanted to talk about what that timeline could look like. It could happen at any time during the day between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. So you could see a normal announced time in the morning as you normally would while breakfast is in operation, but you also may see it in the afternoon. So it could be announced as late as 2 p.m. You may see the advisor show up at the front desk and looking to start the walkthrough. An overnight stay may happen, but is not required for the advisor to stay there in most cases, so you may not see the advisor actually staying in a room. If the advisor does stay overnight, their guest room is not going to be evaluated. So from a fairness standpoint, we're going to do 2 guest rooms with the property team. Even if the advisor stayed overnight, their guest room will not be counting in the evaluation. Fairfield, Town Place, and Midscale, there will be a breakfast review regardless of the time of the advisor being there. So if they're there during breakfast while it's operating, they will be checking breakfast. If they show up after breakfast is finished, there'll be what we refer to as a pantry check. So that could be go into the back of the house to make sure all the OS&E is in place, as well as any food product that is there. And if there is any food product that is out because breakfast is over, we may just ask for some documentation that that food product is being delivered in the morning or later that day to make sure it is present for the following morning service. Luxury will still go to the spa for standards and cleanliness, maintenance, and upkeep evaluation. Besides that, the public area is streamlined. The advisor will still check the exterior. They'll go to the pool, fitness area, lobby, any food and beverage areas. Food safety will still take place. And everything else really remains the same. And you can see the brands there on the screen that will have that half-day assessment in addition to Trailborn. So Trailborn, as part of the outdoor collection, will also have a half-day health check. Other outdoor collection brands like Postcard Cabins, they will be a one-night, overnight evaluation. Learning completion is one significant way that we're planning on making some changes in 2026. In the past, we've measured one randomly selected associate completing a specific training that we've been checking. And so that's taken some time for properties to pull reports and verify that a specific associate has completed the training. It's taken a lot of points possible in the past, and really evaluating that input of completing training and maybe taking some weight away from actually executing what's been part of that training. So we're changing our direction here in 2026 to actually not deduct points at all for training completion, and instead incentivize overall learning completion. So we have this is one of the opportunities to earn bonus points. It's going to be new for 2026. As I mentioned, there's no consequences if the initial target percentage is not met, but the property does have the ability to earn bonus points. So with the assigned path within the DLZ and my data reporting, the assigned path completion, if it's above 90%, the property will earn 5 points. That's 5 points out of 0. And then you can see the other opportunities as well to earn 3 points or 1 point based on the learning completion percentage. So no longer looking at one individual person that they've completed a specific training. We're looking at overall required training completion to determine these bonus points. And then in 2027, points will be deducted again. So the goal is for 2026 to get that training completion to above 90% and maintain that at 90%. Bonus points will still be awarded at 95% or above, but we definitely want to move that required learning path completion to be at 90% or above. And then you can earn those bonus points in 26 and then hopefully achieve a higher percentage completion in 27 and continue earning bonus points. Formerly BSA Property Pre-Work, I mentioned the new name is now My Health Pre-Check. So this provides an opportunity to get everything ready to go before the actual pre-check or the health check assessment. And so there's a couple things to talk about here with the new version of the My Health Pre-Check. There's 4 components, there's 4 categories within the form. So when you open this form in November 15th, it'll open. You'll have 4 different sections. So first one is attestation, and that section is going to be scored. And that will have similar documents that you've had to upload in the past. That would include music provider, scent provider, your internet bandwidth invoice, your point of sale information, all of that would need to be attested to. And most of those, if not all, will require an attachment of actual proof. Those would need to be uploaded and attachments required. The advisor may select randomly a physical copy to check during the actual walkthrough for just a trust-based verification. And then if everything's in order here, you'll earn basically 5 points for an attestation question. So we're combining all of those documents that I mentioned into one question. So all of those will need to be compliant, attested to, proof is provided, and then you'll earn those 5 points. Learning completion. So we just talked about how we're changing this to an overall completion percentage evaluation. For pre-work, we're still going to have an opportunity for you to review the individual learning completions by your active associates to make sure everybody has completed trainings, and if they haven't, you can take action to encourage that completion. So we'll still ask you to run those My Data reports during the My Health Pre-Check time period. So you can review your status and upload and those reports that come out of that system. But what gets uploaded here isn't going to be scored. So this is really, again, an opportunity to run through the information, attach the reports to show that you've done it, and then the advisor at the time of your health check, they'll be going through your new dashboard for assigned path completion percentage and issuing bonus points based on that percentage at that time. So learning completion here, you'll have the ability to attach, but the attachments won't be what actually gets reviewed during the My Health check. Safety and security remains the same. All of the documentation items that you've done in the past, you'll still need to upload those as it relates to food safety trainings, certain fire, life safety, and risk management approaches. All those documents would still need to be uploaded for evaluation so the advisor can review and save time during the walkthrough. And then the last thing is newer. So information gathering is something we want to take advantage of to just gather information that is important at that moment in time. There's no score at all with this. You're not required to answer any of the questions. You're not going to be penalized if you're answering anything as no, but we're really encouraging honest responses for just accuracy of our data, just to know what's going on out there in certain areas. And again, this could be very subject to change at any given moment, but we have just a couple that will be on there for this November and December timeframe. And so encourage you to complete those. And then if you answer yourself as yes or no, there'll be an attachment required just so we can see certain topics, what may be present. So again, truly information gathering, there's no penalty there for any no answers. And a reminder that pre-work, My Health Check is open from November 15th to January 4th. And so we have some extra time there to complete this. We have 2 extra weeks in November and then several extra days after the holiday to complete your My Health pre-check. 3 bonus points exist this time if you complete this by December 15th. In the past, it was 8 points. So obviously with the lower points possible, 3 points is actually even more significant of an amount to earn bonus points than it was for 8 points with the 1,600 point evaluation. This is now 3 bonus points when your average points possible could be between 350 and 450. The overall submission deadline is January 4th by 11:59 p.m. local hotel time. So you have until the end of the day, your local hotel time to complete. Please note that both of these completion dates, it may show in the system as the day after. So it may show December 16th and it may show January 5th, depending on your time zone. So the TrueView system, the technology is based on the GMT time zone. And so that is just locked in no matter what your hotel time is. So it may show as a completion date the day after the deadline. Advisors know what to look for. If it shows that in the system and you're in that certain time zone, you'll still be compliant with that. And this next update is more for above property. So any franchise management company above property or Marriott managed property, above property leaders, we have launched a new dashboard for above properties that launched in October. And so this is a new dashboard with faster load times, hopefully some better performance insights on there. And so this is live now on the QA site, now called the My Health portal, for above property users to begin going in there to review data a little bit differently and easier than in the past.